Hello, hello, and welcome. Today is Wednesday, June 13th, 2018, and this is the Fertility Family Live. My name is Kania Kennedy, and I am the founder and your hostess for this session of our live talk with our fertility experts. Just want to take a moment, and as we step into this session, it's been kind of a crazy day, week, month, life, like everything. And so it's always a good idea to just take a moment and center. So I'm going to do that at this time. I think that'll make a great difference today. So let's just take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Do that 2 more times. Take it in. All right. Calm. And just being in that space of serenity, I just acknowledge the divine, Mother, Father, God, the Creator, whatever term is comfortable for you, for being here in this space, for bringing us here at this day, this time, whether you're watching this live or whether you're catching a replay. It is the perfect time and place for you to get this information. And I know that out of this session, people will be blessed. And so I give thanks for our guest, and I acknowledge myself for choosing to step into this role to facilitate this. And I declare that this session of the Fertility Family Live is on and popping. And so it is. Oh my goodness. So, Fertility Family, if this is the first time you've joined us, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what the Fertility Family is, how it's got started, and like what you can expect. Got a couple of announcements, all that good stuff. And then we're going to get into an awesome topic today all about fibroids, hysterectomies, and of course, the impact of both of those on fertility. Of course, hysterectomies, meaning like you're not going to have any babies. But the idea of like, well, what do we do if we're faced with something like that? So it's going to be a great topic. I mean, a lot of women face this, and so we're just blessed to have someone who can give us some insight. So the point of the Fertility Family, you guys, is that what we want is for people to have a happy and healthy pregnancy and baby. I am on my journey to mommyhood. I am 42 and single and have never had a baby before. So that whole idea about mature first-time pregnancy support, that is definitely for me. And I can tell you that so far this group has been a wonderful resource. This is actually how the Fertility Family got started. I was looking at my life, right, and thinking, as we move into the next phase, like what's there for me? As I talk about in the opening of the Fertility Family way back in January of this year, my mom has transitioned. That was over 20 years ago. My older sister has transitioned. And so right now my family, immediate family, consists of my dad and I. And my dad is mature. He's 75. And so kind of dealing with that, whoa, like what happens next? And I got very present, so I definitely knew I wanted to be a mom. That's not new information. I always knew I wanted to be a mom, but I've always thought it would happen a lot more traditionally. And so as I, approached 40, as I've been approaching 40, I had to kind of look at, so what are you going to do, Diva? And came to the conclusion, we're going to make this happen. Women have babies on their own and raise them all the time. So it's doable. My dad's mother was a single mom. His parents got divorced when he was very young, and she managed to do it and raise an awesome man. So it's definitely possible. And so Fertility Family got launched, but I had questions, I had concerns. And as a holistic health and wellness practitioner, I, luckily had people who I could pull on. And so I pulled on creating a wellness team and a support group. And then I was just moved to share this with the world because as I started sharing it, other women said, I'm kind of in that same space. And so the idea was, all right, how do we make a difference for those women and be a blessing? Let me turn off some of these devices. We do not want to be disturbed, right? All right. So with that being said, we're definitely doing, and then the idea of people who may, excuse me, be having some challenges conceiving or carrying to term. And so then you're having to work with fertility specialists. And sometimes that can be kind of expensive. And so we definitely want to offer natural and affordable solutions to fertility challenges. So that's one of the big mandates of the fertility family. A lot of times doing things holistically can be an alternative solution if your pockets are not deep, or if you've already exhausted your pockets, going to do some more conventional routes. And if you want to avoid the empty pockets, you might start with us. And if for some reason it doesn't work, although our experts have really, really high success rates, you guys, we're talking like 80% and above, okay, one even claiming 100% effectiveness, you should try us, right? And then you go from there. But yeah, so mature first-time pregnancy support, a natural and affordable solution for fertility challenges. If you're just a planner and you want some support in how do I get ready to do this pregnancy thing, preconception planning, that pregnancy timeline is an invaluable resource starting about a year out from conception. So if you know you want to have a baby, we've got support. And that's something we make available to you free of charge because we think everyone should have access to information like this. Let's not make it a secret. And then we're also offering live Q&A with holistic fertility and pregnancy experts, like our guest today and our guest every Wednesdays on Fertility Family Live, because you'll have questions and we want to make sure that you have a place to go get them answered. And then for women who may be like me, or, you know, in the case of some gentlemen who may be able to afford a surrogate or may be able to do single fatherhood by choice, we want to make sure we're offering support for people and creating a village. So fertility family, pretty awesome concept, right? We're a book club in the sense that this is our book that we've referenced. The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility has everything you need to know to conceive and carry naturally. And this is written by one of our team members, Dr. Jaleesa. She's awesome. And the book has been a great resource, definitely educated me on a lot of things that I didn't know. And so learning it really, it was like, oh, there's just some really good things that I would have had no idea about or thought of. And she covers everything, you guys. I mean, just everything you can think of. It's a great book. I highly recommend that you get it. It's available on Amazon.com. And then, like I told you, I'm a holistic wellness practitioner. And so this is something I put together inside of my work around feminine health. I mean, I do general health and well-being. But yeah, as I began this journey, I got turned on to some good things. One of them being switching out of toxic feminine care products. So these herbal pads we use during our cycles, and they're infused with herbs. Oh my goodness. And these are really great herbs, you guys. Things like aloe and lavender and rose. And these all are nourishing to our reproductive system. And what we have found is that within 60 to 90 days, so after your first couple of cycles using this, women, you'll usually report back to us that any discomfort that they have been experienced with their cycle is beginning to mitigate. It's pretty awesome. And then when you combine that with our female comfort herbal blend, most people are amazed at what happens, because what's happening is you're giving your body really healing nutrients. You can ingest them, you know, through your mouth, but then you're also applying them topically to your vaginal tissues. And so you're absorbing them into your body. It's like a double whammy. And the results are phenomenal. If you're a fan like me of essential oils, this Changes Women's Blend is pretty great. They talk about it for menopause, but I'll tell you, for women who have hormonal cycles, it really makes a difference. This is something that you can massage onto your abdomen. You can diffuse it. You know, essential oils are really powerful plant-based medicine. And so if you're having any sort of a female discomfort, whether it be from menopause, you can have some friends who may be dealing with that, or just PMS, it's a wonderful thing to incorporate in your wellness regimen. And then prenatal vitamins. If you're planning on having a baby, well, you definitely need to be taking your prenatals. And then there's a school of thought that thinks that women who are in childbearing years should take them on GP. You want to talk to your doctor to find out what's best for you. But this is a great kit to have a happy, healthy honeypot, as I like to say. If you want to find out more about it, visit us online. I'm at adivamedicinewoman.com, and then that's /feminine health. All right, I got a couple of announcements. I'm actually hosting a retreat this July, you guys, out in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a spiritual rites of passage retreat. This is all about doing some emotional healing work. So it's facilitated by the one and only Alizade Wanubi, and then, of course, me, your medicine woman. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you want more information about that, you can visit mygoddessretreat.com. Great event. And then I'm also hosting a seminar on July 29th. It's a webinar called Get Stoned, an introduction to healing crystals and gemstones. So that's what we use herbs, we can use essential oils. There's a school of thought that believes that crystals and things of the earth, including, yes, crystals and gemstones, can have a beneficial effect on our health and well-being. So if you've ever been curious about things like amethyst and quartz, you may say like rose quartz, you're like, what's this all about? This is your opportunity to find out. That's on June 29th. You can visit adivamedicinewoman.com for more information. And we invite you to join us. It is done online just like this, so you can participate from anywhere on the planet. All right, so with that piece out of the way, let's talk about today's presenter, the one and only Dr. Hugh A. Jenkins. He has been practicing holistic medicine for a long time, you guys. And so it's such a pleasure to have him here because he's a wealth of knowledge. And a lot of the times when you are trying to get into the world of holistic health and holistic health, you can be overwhelmed with information. And I can't stress enough to you how it's really important to have someone to kind of help guide you. And so as a naturopathic doctor, as a retired doctor of chiropractic care, Dr. Jenkins, like, breath of knowledge, and we have him with us. And so I am super excited to have him here. He has been featured in magazines like Essence, where he's talked about things like fibroid tumors and fertility and hysterectomies. So this topic today, it's not like new. He's pulling from knowledge and then adding in new stuff. So whether you're trying to get pregnant or you're just a woman who might be experiencing fibroid tumors, or you may be facing the possibility of a hysterectomy, I want you to make sure you listen, take notes. If you know someone who might be dealing with that, refer this to them. Because our reproductive systems are important to our bodies. We wouldn't have been given them if they were supposed to be taken out. So just consider that if there's something you can do to keep everything that the divine gave us where it started, let's do that. All right. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce to you Dr. Hugh Jenkins, our presenter for today. Hi, Dr. Jenkins.
Hi, in the fertility family group. I guess I should start with my presentation because you did all the introduction. Let's see if I can. Okay, go up to the share screen, right?
You're gonna do the share screen, yes.
Share.
I see my face. Awesome. So your screen is sharing, and you want to just get your presentation on the screen, and you'll be good to go.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. I see PowerPoint. We're almost there.
Showtime. Okay.
All righty. So let's get you live. All right. The stage is yours, Dr. Jenkins.
Okay. Fibroid tumors and avoiding hysterectomies in relationship to infertility. I was written up in 1992 in Essence magazine, like Kania said, on fibroid tumors and avoiding hysterectomies, and women from all over the country. That was before the internet, so the magazine had to go out by mail, and women from all over the country called me up because of the issues that they had. And imagine now, with the internet, that would even be worldwide. In reference to my background, I'm in naturopathic medicine. I went to the National University of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. Chiropractic doctor from National University of Health Sciences in Lombard, Illinois, outside of Chicago. I did BTA, biological train assessment, clinician in Arizona. I'm an advanced training in acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine from Midwest Center of Oriental Medicine in Chicago. I was mentored by the master, Dr. Elvina Fulton, who was the world's authority on fasting in the 1970s, and added on to that for this presentation, had advanced training in OB-GYN at Cook County Hospital in Chicago, which is now called Stroger Hospital, which is one of the best teaching hospitals in the country, if not the world. If you go there, you will be exposed to every condition in the world. So I had training on both sides of the fence in OB-GYN at Naturopathic Medical School we did OB-GYN, we delivered babies at home. And at Cook County Hospital, I delivered babies in the hospital. It's a 180-degree difference. In Cook County Hospital, we did vaginal deliveries. We did C-sections with the midline or bikini cut. I was involved in hysterectomies and all sorts of OB-GYN. So I did have a chance. One of the things that I was so blessed to do because of my knowledge in naturopathic medicine, I was able to prevent a baby from being born by forceps because of the acupuncture knowledge that I knew. One of my friends from college, he was in his 3rd year of residency because the OB-GYNs have 4 years of residency, but a 4th year resident is the only one that can do forceps delivery. So he told one of the medical students to go get a 4th year student. I said, well, James, his name is Dr. James Arrington. I said, give me 5 minutes. He said, that's all you have, because I've got to get this baby out. So nobody knew what I was doing. I was holding on to the mother. I was like the coach. The mother was squeezing my hand. I was squeezing her hand, but I was squeezing one of the acupuncture points, which is counterindicated during pregnancy, but it's indicated in labor and delivery because it helps to dilate the cervix to increase the delivery. It's Hoku, large intestines 4, which is located between the index finger and the thumb. And I was pressing that point, and it's called acupressure because I wasn't using any needle. And he gave me 5 minutes. That baby came out in 2.5 minutes with no complications. That's how you integrate that. And when I told him what I had done later on, either later on that day or the next day, he said, thank you for saving that baby.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I'm so blessed that I've had training from both sides of the fence. So then, like on each one of my presentations, I do this doctor's prayer. Lord, as I treat my patients, help me to be wise. Let me see their problems through your discerning eyes. Guide me, Lord, and use me in everything I do, for you are the great physician, and I long to be like you. And God is the best physician. He loses no patience whatsoever. Okay. The statistics in fibroid tumors, it's been around for over 150 years in published medical journals. So it's no new entity, and these, it's approximately 1.6 million females have been diagnosed each year, and those numbers are growing astronomically. That was 1.6 million in 2002. Probably by now it's like 2 million females. And approximately 80% of the females don't know they have the fibroid tumors because they don't present with the symptoms. Increased blood flow, increased clots, pelvic pain, menstrual cramps. So only 1 in 4 of them get treatment. And most of the time they don't know about it until they get their annual OB-GYN physical, and the diagnosis is through ultrasound. So it's very important to get that, because you can have some problems in your body that you don't feel symptoms. For example, like breast cancer. There's no pain in breast cancer, but you need to get that, not a mammogram, because one of the causes of cancer is radiation, but a thermogram, which will pick up temperature imbalances in there, which is much more sensitive than that, and other, non-invasive testing.
Well, Dr. Jenkins, can I just ask a quick question around that one? Because of course, once you hit a certain age, 40 years old, women are highly encouraged to get mammograms. So are you suggesting that may not be our only choice? Like, we definitely need to be aware of things like breast cancer, but that there are some alternatives? Because I've never heard of a thermogram before.
Thermogram. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but yeah, there is alternatives to that radiation and alternatives to that discomfort. Because, what do? They put your breast in a vice and squeeze it down, and then they shoot it up with radiation. They don't do that to men because medicine is a man's fraternity. They will not put, no man is going to allow his private parts to be put in a vice and then shot up with radiation. You know, what they do with to find out the PSA, they're going to take a blood test, and they are going to do one of two things: either go to the rectum if they suspected there's going on to get a sample, or go through the penis itself, which is kind of really invasive, and it's not a pleasant procedure, you know, to go and get some sample through the prostate, you know. But men don't get as much evasive evaluation as women do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know, for example, my sister, when she first started getting the vaginal exams, the speculum, she would call that a curling iron, because the speculum and the curling iron sort of look the same thing. You know, that's evasive.
Well, I just remember my very first gynecological exam, which is one reason I didn't go back for years. The practitioner, I was in college, and the practitioner did not believe that I had never been sexually active. So he started off with like this very large speculum. And so when he brought it over, I was like, excuse me? And he's like, it'll be fine. And so I had my doubts, right? And this is one of the things I have to learn, to always trust trust your first mind.
Right.
And when he got down there and he took a look, he was like, oh, you're a virgin. I was like, bruh, well, he wasn't a brother, but I'm like, Doc, I literally just told you that. He was like, well, girls come in here all the time and say that. And that is actually one of the main reasons I've never had another male gynecologist. And after that experience, I was just a little traumatized. Like, how I'm going to the doctor's not believing me, is going to do what they want to do anyway. So it really kind of shook my trust in the medical profession. Eventually, I did move past it, and I found actually a wonderful Black female gynecologist who took great care of me for many years until I left Detroit. But yeah, that I did not go back the whole time I was in college. Luckily for me, I wasn't sexually active in college, and I never really had any issues. I've never had any yeast infections or UTIs or anything like that. I don't necessarily advise that, but that was just my story. I just think it's important for women to know that, as you said, medicine can be a male fraternity, and that we have to advocate for ourselves. And so I'm definitely going to research that. And I want to start sharing with women some alternatives they have, because I have yet to have a mammogram, because I'm just like, nah. But I've been feeling a little guilty around it. I'm just happy to know that I do have some options. So thank you for sharing.
Right. And the thing about it is that is really something in reference to the OB-GYN evaluation of a woman. You go into a doctor's office, you might not know him, might be your first visit, and he invades your private parts. Usually in a relationship, you don't allow a man to invade your private parts until you become familiar with him. But women do that all the time, you know? And so it is much more pleasant to have a female OB-GYN, because for a male OB-GYN to tell you, well, I know what it's like. No, you don't. You do not. No matter how many years you've been into practice, you do not know what a labor pain feels like. A female would, especially if she's had some babies. A female OB-GYN is much more connected to you than a male OB-GYN. And I heard one male OB-GYN had been in practice for many years. He was really sexist. He said, oh, I've been in practice so long, I've got enough uteruses on my mantle. And I thought about this man, I said, oh, he is really cold. I do not need to refer any females to him, because he just felt that the female organ is just like, whoa. He's probably done his share of hysterectomies, which will go into that and go from there. So yeah, let's proceed with this, because I can give you a lot of stories throughout the years, but I've had some very pleasant OB-GYNs, females, that I referred people to. Okay, So there's many unknown and known causes of fibroid tumors. Medical doctors, there is no one known cure, but they always looking for that one cause of disease. They're looking for that bacteria, that viruses, that germ. They're looking for that one cause of diabetes, that one cause of high blood pressure, that one cause of cancer. But there's no one cause of disease. There's multiple causes of disease. And if you don't find out the cause and you just take care of the symptom, you will never get the cure, because the cure is in the cause. But in natural healing, we know that there are many possible causes of dis-ease. For example, talking about the fibroid tumor in the female body. If a female is having heavy flow and the flow is dark blood, you're looking at about impure blood. That blood is toxic. If there is clots, you're looking about impure and congested lymphatic system. Okay, if that person is constipated, and any organ can be constipated, it just doesn't have to be the colon. We talk about, disease begins in the colon and the person is constipated, but if the uterus is constipated, that's called a fibroid tumor. The lungs can be constipated and you can have asthma, and so any organ can be constipated. We also have to look at the diet, the toxic, sad American diet, which will create a toxic body. So toxic food causes toxic internal environment. And they know that, and these are old statistics, that 85% of the diet can cause cancer. So if it can cause cancer, it can cause any disease from the common cold to cancer. So we have to look at normal colon and the normal uterus. We, in natural healing, we look at the whole body, the mind, body, spirit, and the emotions. Okay, so if we're having proper bowel elimination, that equals no constipation. The natural definition of constipation is if you don't have a bowel movement for every meal that you eat, then you're constipated. And the medical doctors will tell their patient, well, if you have a bowel movement once a day, once every other day, a couple of times a week, that's normal. No, that's not normal. It might be average. The average American might be like that, but the average American is constipated. Okay, natural normal menstrual flow equals no fibroid tumors, and that means normal flow. You should have a menstrual period every 4 weeks. That should be 12 times a year or 10 lunar cycles. Okay, you should have no clots. You should have no menstrual cramps whatsoever. That's normal. Okay. The medical doctors look at the female organs, and now the normal uterus is the size of a fist. But God is got made so many of our parts the size of our fist. Besides the uterus being the size of a fist, our heart is the size of our fist. Our stomach's the size of our fist. Our kidneys the size of our fist. So we have a lot of fists inside of us, and it's just a fantastic temple that He's packed all of these organs in there. But the thing about it, if your fist is fat on the outside, these organs are going to be fat on the inside. The normal ovary is the size of an almond, which is really nice and small, but those ovaries can produce a full child. And it's interesting that God has produced such a small organ. It produces the eggs and it goes to the uterus, and the uterus is the size of a fist, but then that uterus is the only organ that can stretch so big to be the size of a full-term pregnancy. Okay, really fantastic. And then after the delivery, it can shrink back down to the size of a fist. It is a wonderful temple. Okay, now we have to look at the prolapsed colon, which puts pressure on the uterus. Okay, now the normal colon, let me go back to that and talk about the size of the normal colon. The normal colon is 5 feet in length and a half of 5 feet in length and a half an inch in diameter. Now, an abnormal colon, which we have here, can be as long as 12 feet in length and up to 6 inches in diameter. You can see that it's sagging down here. That's called a prolapse colon. That prolapse colon is caused by the lack of fiber, the lack of water, the lack of muscle tone, and gravity. You can't fight gravity, but the other three you can add to that. You can add more water to the system, you can eat more fiber, and you can do more muscle tones by exercising. So with that prolapse colon is going to put pressure on the uterus. And a flexed uterus, when I've asked women, when I can look at their eyes through iridology and ask them, did the doctor ever tell you, OB-GYN ever tell you that your uterus is tipped or is retroverted, whatever? And they say, yeah, how did you know? I say, I can see that. And usually where that uterus is tipped, right here, it's usually one of the locations of a fibroid tumor, because you're not getting the proper blood flow and you're not getting proper lymphatic flow. So there's congestion there. So fibroid pressure on the colon and more constipation, because the colon's putting pressure on the uterus, which is putting pressure on the colon. So we have what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Okay. Now there's types of fibroid tumors. They're named by their size, their shape, and their location. Location, 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 like real estate is very important. And the thing about it is that they are all toxic. Only 1% of fibroid tumors, only 1% of fibroid tumors is cancerous, but 100% of fibroid tumors are toxic. It is a toxic condition in the body. Okay, the majority of our diseases are toxic. In fact, they found out that cancer is a disease of toxicity. You detoxify the body, and the body, cancer can't live in a healthy body. So you have fibroid tumors that are inside the wall of the uterus, that are inside the lumen of the uterus, that are outside the wall of it, and it depends on where they are located. It can also be sagging down, prolapsing into the vaginal wall. So it depends on the location, which is very important for that. Now, this is another type of fibroid tumor. This is a picture of a real fibroid tumor after a total hysterectomy. One of my medical doctor colleagues, Dr. Mary Palmore, female OB-GYN, and she gave me this picture years ago. This fibroid tumor, she likes to do alternative natural medicine, but if it's too far gone, she has to do, integrate the drug medicine, allopathic medicine together. So this was the size of 15-week or 4-month pregnancy. Okay, it's 15 by 17 by 9 centimeters. It weighed 805 grams, which is 2+ pounds. She says she has taken out his fibroid tumors as big as 5,000 grams, which is 10 pounds, 10+ pounds. So imagine, this is the summer season and it's watermelon season and people buying their watermelons. Imagine buying a 10-pound watermelon and carrying it from the store to the car. And imagine that car is far away from the store door and it's far into the parking lot. So you got to carry it. Let's say you're carrying it for a minute or so. It starts to get heavy. Imagine carrying that same weight in your body. And that can be one of the symptoms, can be related to fatigue, menstrual cramps, lower back pain, a number of these different things. Okay, so we got people that are just carrying toxic waste in their body. So how large is your fibroid tumor? Fibroid tumors can range from the smaller than an orange, as small as grapes, to as large as a full-term pregnancy. Now, the thing about it, they don't usually come in just one, they come in multiples, because when you, for example, when you buy grapes, you don't just buy one grape, you buy a cluster of grapes. So the fibroid tumors can be clusters. So the medical doctors are going to tell you, oops, let's move up here. The medical doctors will tell you that it comes in certain centimeters, but the best way for women to, remember how big it is, okay, well, how big is my fibroid tumor? Well, it's about the size of an orange, which would be like a 10-week pregnancy, or the size of a grapefruit, which would be a 12-week pregnancy, or the size of a melon, which is a 16-week pregnancy, or the size of a pineapple, a 22-week pregnancy, or the size of a pumpkin, which is 28-week pregnancy, or the size of a watermelon, which is a full-term pregnancy. Now, the smaller the fibroids, the better the chance you can do it naturally. So it's best when you find out about it, take care of it soon. But there are cases when hysterectomy, the last resort, is a must. Now, I do not, discount the medical doctor's procedure and tell you, no, do not do this, do not do that. If it is, I suggest the very last resort. Let's do something first. And I got a case history when I was in Chicago. I would visit, do house calls, which I still do, but this was when I was in Chicago. And I was making house calls for this senior citizen, and she lived with her daughter and her granddaughter. So her granddaughter came into the room, and I looked at her. I said, "Oh, when are you going to be delivering?" Because she was so big, I thought that she was ready to deliver twins. And her and her mother said, "Oh, no." Her mother said, "Oh, no, she has a fibroid tumor." I said, "Well, what are you all doing about it?" She said, "Well, we went to the OB-GYN and he suggested hysterectomy, but we didn't want to do that because, the mother and the daughter wanted to have some children." So I said, "Okay, well, it looks kind of big, you know." And so the thing about it, when I came back to see the grandmother the next month, the daughter was not there. Being that this fibroid tumor was the size of a watermelon, it was located right above the cervix. So this young lady was not having menstrual period because it was blocking the blood. The fibroid tumor grew and grew and grew and ruptured her uterus, and she bled to death, and I didn't see her anymore. So
Wait, Dr. Jenkins.
yes.
Wait. You said, oh my God, you said this killed. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So that is one of the indications a hysterectomy is necessary, because instead of trying not to do anything, get the hysterectomy. She was young enough, she could have adopted some children, because I only saw her at one time, and she hemorrhaged to death. Because a lot of the fibroid tumors, let's go back to the pictures where the fibroid tumors are. You see, if they're not like this one, that one can possibly block that cervix, and you're not getting a menstrual period. So the blood from the menstrual period can keep growing. Other ones, because of other locations, then you can still have a period. But for example, this would be like that, and instead of hanging down in there, it blocked it, and the blood just kept growing and growing and growing. And that watermelon, the size of a full-term pregnancy, stretched the uterus too much. It ruptured the uterus, and she bled to death. Okay. So that's why it's very important that if things get too far gone, to take care of it. We take care of our cars and our houses and our other materialistic things, but we do not take care of our temple of God that He only gives us one. Let's go on. Okay, risk factors. The African American woman is 2 to 3 times more likely than her counterparts to have fibroid tumors, because the African American diet is so bad. It's so high in fats and things like that. The average age is 35 to 50. But I've known young girls in their teens to have fibroid tumors. And I know that the earliest person that I've known of had a hysterectomy in her early 20s. Okay? That's not good. What risk factors are? Overweight and obesity. The average American diet is overweight, and it's caused by the toxic, sad American diet and the lack of exercise and many other factors. Okay. Then we have the female hormone imbalances. Overweight, 65 to 70% of the US population is overweight, and over 30% of them are obese. And more people are getting these bypass surgeries, these lap band surgeries, and thinking that's going to correct the problem. But if your diet is fat diet, over 40 to 50% of the diet is fat, that's going to increase estrogen in your diet. And the reason that African American woman is 2 to 3 times more likely to have the fibroid tumor is because the African American diet is over 50% fat. You know, we're just, especially, for example, I'm living down here in Texas. The Southern diet is a fat diet. The American diet is a fat diet. We need to turn that around. So increased risk factors will increase with increased weight. 21% of each 20 pounds overweight will increase the risk factor. So if a woman is 150 pounds and a 150-pound woman is low on the weight scale, the average woman now is what, 170, 200, 250 pounds, you know, and that 150 pounds, 20 pounds is 3 times more likely the risk factor than a woman that's 110 pounds to have fibroid tumors. But the 110-pound woman is still possibly can have fibroid tumors. It depends on the other risk factors. Because I had a yoga sister that was a yoga instructor, and she was in that low 110, and she taught yoga 3 times a week. She did it every day. She was also a distance runner, but she had this little pouch, you know, in her pelvic area, and that was the fibroid tumors. So what comes first? Is it overweight from the sad American diet, or is it overweight from the toxic fibroid tumor? Like I said before, fibroid tumor is only 1% cancer, but 100% toxic.
But can I just add this in? A lot
Yes.
of people who talk to me about, oh, you know, I don't weigh a lot, but they don't understand idea of fat versus muscle
Right.
and that percentage. Because I remember back from my modeling days, there were a lot of what I called skinny fat women who were very, very skinny, but they had very little muscle tone, which meant that they were still fatty. And
Right.
so women who are, you know, a lot of times we run from weight training. We want to go to the gym and we want to get on the treadmill or the bike or all the Stairmaster, but we don't want to hit the weights because we're afraid we're going to be bulked up, which divas, it's hard to do that. I mean, you have to really go hard and do a lot of weird stuff to start to be man looking. But it's really important for us to have a healthy muscle to fat ratio because you can be very skinny, but at the same time have a high percentage of body fat.
Right, exactly. It's called toe feed. Thin on the outside, fat on the inside. So they can have a lot of fat on around or surrounding the internal organs, and it doesn't look like that, you know. So it's really important. That's one of the things that we can evaluate in the Inform program with the BioTracker scale, so we can see what's going on there. Yeah. Okay. The toxic sad American diet. Some of the factors is white sugar, white flour, red meat, and dairy products. White sugar. White sugar causes more disease and kill more people than cigarette cancer. It is known to cause sugar diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, cancer, just to name a few. White flour is nothing but a paste. When we were growing up, there was the Wonder Bread, you know, it grows your body 12 different ways, but it also kills your body now 12 different ways. When I would go out and do presentations around the country, I would make a fibroid tumor with Wonder Bread because it's nothing but paste. I'd take off the crust, mix that bread together, maybe add a little water and just pack it together, and it would look like a fibroid tumor because a fibroid tumor is nothing but a toxic mucus congestion condition. And then we got the red meat, the pork, the beef, and the lamb. You know, they shoot these animals up with these growth hormones, and you got these fat animals. And our kids are eat, well, not just kids, but people are eating those, and they're getting these growth hormones, and they're getting fat. And because of the growth hormones, it's throwing the body chemistry off. And you got these young girls that develop a breast and thighs and buttocks prior to puberty, and young boys that are overweight developing breasts, which is not a male characteristic. And they talk about male boobs, and that's a joke. It's not a joke. Something's wrong with that, because when in med school, when we learn anatomy and physiology, the male sexual organs is the testes, the prostate, the penis. The female sexual organs is the uterus, the vagina, and the breast. Breast is not part of the male. We have pecs, chest muscles. So no, that is not normal. Then the dairy products, they shoot these animals up with it. It goes into the milk. So if you have a mad cow disease, which goes into mad milk, you drink it and you become mad. So look at all of these issues that are going on now from these mad people, shootings in the high schools and all the rest of these violent things that are going on in our society. It's related to the diet. Okay, female hormone imbalances. We have an increased estrogen, and decreased progesterone. If a woman's been on birth control pill, even if she took one pill in her life, when she was younger, and she's much older, that has still caused hormone imbalances in the body. Okay. And so a lot of people will say, okay, well, I go on a vegetarian diet, I don't take the estrogen, but you still have that imbalance in the progesterone. So you have to balance that off. You have to decrease the estrogen and increase the progesterone. The birth control pill. The birth control pill was made in the 1960s, and they knew back then the side effects of that. It increased the risk factor to fibroid tumors, increased the risk factor to breast and cervical cancer, and many other female issues, And then the patch that came out in 2004, okay, well, this is convenient. I don't have to take a pill every day. And so what they did is they put the patch on. You only had to put it on once every 4 weeks, and the women would only have 4 menstrual periods a year instead of a menstrual period every 4 weeks. That is not normal. If you have 4 menstrual periods a year, well, during that period, you can become pregnant, and you don't know that you're pregnant. And that, by the side effects of it, it can, a lot of these commercials that they're talking about, well, if you're pregnant or you know that you're going to want to get pregnant, things like that, do not take this medicine because it can affect the baby. It can have birth defects or fetal death, And so these pills, then as the women get older in age, they put them on the estrogen replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy, which throws the hormones out of balance. These are not normal. The allopathic treatment, one of the things that they say is do nothing. That is not good advice, okay? Because do nothing. This was when I was in Chicago, and a lady heard me on the radio. She came to see me, and she had multiple health challenges, and I helped her out a great deal. She was a lovely lady. In fact, she would do herbal hours that I'd come to her house, and she would invite friends and neighbors. She would even invite strangers. She'd go to the store and buy stuff because she loved to cook. And one lady that she saw, she said, come to my house this afternoon. Dr. Jenkins is going to be speaking, blah, blah, blah. So her daughter called me up one winter time and said that she found some bloody sheets in her mother's bathroom. And so I had to interrogate this lovely lady to find out how long she had been bleeding. And she was a senior citizen. And when there's vaginal bleeding, the first thing the medical doctors would think about is cervical cancer. Their treatment is to do a simple D&C. They scrape the uterus, and the problem is usually solved. Now, I interrogated her to find out she had been bleeding for 6 months from the summer. I said, wait a minute. And they asked me, what can I do? I said, nothing. Get her to the emergency room to find out what's going on. It's been going on too long. They found out she did have cervical cancer, but when they did the ultrasound, they also found out that she had a fibroid tumor. I said, oh my God. Okay. And because she had this was in the 1980s, and a doctor told her in the 1950s is if it's not bothering you, don't bother it. So do nothing. And so this fibroid tumor, when they did the ultrasound, they found this fibroid tumor was either 20 or 30 pounds. And unfortunately, this lovely lady died because the advice she was given was do nothing.
So she was carrying an extra 30 pounds.
Right.
Or since the 50s.
Since the 50s, and it was the 80s, it was 30 years. And so they said, if it's not bothering you, you don't bother it. Okay. And then there's other treatments they do, the uterine artery embolization, the myomectomy, and the hysterectomy. Okay. I'll go into more details about the uterine artery embolization. And this is one of the medical doctors' alternatives to hysterectomy. What they do is that they inject through the femoral artery a catheter into the uterine artery and to block the uterine artery that is feeding the fibroid tumor. What they're injecting in there is plastic pellets to block that. Now, wait a minute. Plastic is toxic in the body, and you already have a toxic condition in the body. So let's make the body more toxic so it can cause some problems. So the plastic is to block that artery. But the thing about it, that artery is still being fed blood to it, so there's increased pressure. This increased pressure creates, one of the side effects is painful cramps. And the woman goes into hot flashes, she becomes moody, and things like that. And because it's an invasive procedure, it can possibly have infection, which then she might have to have a hysterectomy. These are some of the risk factors that are going on. Okay, go back to the myomectomy. The myomectomy, what that is they will cut the uterus open to get the fibroid tumor, and it'll either be a vaginal myomectomy or they might do a C-section to get that out of there. One of the complications of that is that they might have adhesions, and that can cause some complications. So they might have to do a hysterectomy. If the woman doesn't change her lifestyle, then she might develop more fibroid tumors. Now, some people, if the myomectomy was successful, they can get pregnant after that. But if they don't change the lifestyle, they get the fibroid tumors and then into the hysterectomy. The thing about the hysterectomy, which is very interesting, it is the only operation that's called by an organ that's not named by the organ itself. Now, if you got something's wrong with your tonsils, you're going to get a tonsillectomy. If you got something wrong with your appendix, they're going to call it an appendectomy. But there's no organ in the body called a hyster. Okay, so what they've thought about, since medicine is a man's fraternity, they figure that because women during their periods, they get all hysterical, then it must be the female organ. So we're going to cut out the uterus, and we'll call the operation a hysterectomy. If the problem still goes on, they made a mistake. So this is why they do that. And if you go to your OB-GYN and ask your OB-GYN, what organ do they cut out when they do a hysterectomy? They say, oh, it's a uterectomy. Then why don't they call it a uterectomy? Very interesting. But that's a man's fraternity. Okay, protective factors. Now we're going to go into something that will protect you against that. Now, we talked about the average American diet, which is, high fats, high sugars, red meats, and dairy products. So what we need to do is we need to have a high fiber diet, a plant-based diet, fruits, vegetables, and grains. Fruits are for cleansing, vegetables for building, and your grains will help to absorb the toxins. If the person eats meat, you want to have wild caught fish, not farm raised fish, because farm raised fish is They put the hormones and the other things in the water, and the fish take that, and or you got to get your organic poultry or organic meats if you're going to eat those. It's important to cleanse and detoxify with pure water, either reverse osmosis water or alkaline water, okay? Because with our water, there's so much toxins in the water. For example, people will throw their pills in their toilet instead of putting it in the garbage. They throw it in the toilet, and those pills will recycle, dissolve in the water, and they will have that. And then there's a lot of estrogen, a lot of other pollution in the water. So it's best to get good, pure water and cleanse and detoxify with that. You got to exercise. You need that blood flow. You need that lymphatic flow, because we've talked about the congestion in the blood and congestion in the lymphatic system. And stress management. Because stress is known to cause 100% of dis-ease. And a lot of women will hold their stress and their emotions in their female organs, in the uterus, fibroid tumor, uterus problems, in the breast, and breast problems, so they can hold their emotions. So the meditation, relaxation, tapping, and multiple forms of that, prayer, a number of things, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, all of these things that help to relax you, like you did at the beginning of the presentation today, and you always do, is to relax, because everybody out here has some form of stress, and so this helps us to get centered with our body, mind, body, spirit, and emotions. It's important to get correct diagnosis, a complete medical history, or when it comes to females, a complete medical her story. Okay, 85% of diagnosis comes from the patient's history. I talked about that with that lovely lady. She told me about everything except for the fibroid tumors, because the doctor told her don't bother with it. And it was back, I knew her in the 80s, and because she had nobody told her from the 50s to do anything, she didn't include that in her medical history. It's because if I knew about it, I could have helped her with that, and she could have lived a much longer, healthier, happier life. Physical exams are very important, and not just going to the OB-GYN to find out about if you're having some female issues. Get a complete head-to-toe physical, because one lady went to the OB-GYN 1 month, and he diagnosed her with fibroid tumors. She came back the next month, and he examined her again, and he said the tumor is gone. And the first question he asked her, were you constipated last month? And she said, yes, I was. So instead of him feeling pelvic issues, he was feeling poop issues, So it's very important to get a complete physical, and probably before you get that complete physical, go through a cleansing, detoxification, or, if they find something wrong, go through the cleanse after that and get reevaluated before you have some invasive procedures. We also have the biological terrain assessment, hair analysis, and simple pH testing. Biological terrain assessment, which is now called the QFA, quantum fluid analysis. What we're doing is we're using first morning urine and first morning saliva to find out the person's internal environment, finding out their biological age, because a lot of people's biological age, which is their age, how they're aging inside, is much older than their age outside. I also have updated that, but with the Inform program that we're using, we can use the BioTracker scale to find that out. And some of these people, it's surprising that the younger generation have an older biological scale age than the older generation. I did one young lady, she was 39 years old, and her biological age was 90. She said, oh my God. She said, I've been.
Dr. Jenkins, you and I both are Informed coaches. And so I've been doing the BioTracker at festivals and events for the last couple of years. Can I just tell you, my younger women, I'm talking about in my 20s, just like you said,
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, their metabolic ages are ranging anywhere from 50 to about 85. It is it's kind of crazy. And these, I mean, I've had women as young as 26, like you said, top the reader out at 90. Um, and it's epidemic, but people don't even realize it's a thing. And sometimes I'm finding folks won't even get on my bio tracker because they're afraid. And I'm like, you guys, this is not a head in your sand kind of thing. We've got to know what we're dealing with so that then we can, we can do something about it. But it's an awesome tool to kind of get an idea of what your body's going through. It's phenomenal.
Right, right. And the thing about it is, I like to say this little story is that that lady, that 39-year-old lady, 90 age, biological or metabolic age, she said, "Oh my God!" And then I put a lady on it in her 90s, and she was 26 years old, and she said, "Thank you, God." So you want to be, "Oh my God," or "Thank you, God," you know. But it's the younger folks, they have so many issues, and they've said that this younger generation will not live as long as we do. So the natural course of evolution is that the children are supposed to bury their parents and their grandparents, but now the parents and grandparents are burying their kids and their grandkids. That's not normal. Okay, so we can also tell what's going on internally with the internal organs, the liver, the gallbladder, the digestive system, circulatory system. We can also tell what's going on to the cell level. We can also find out what's going on externally, to find out if there's any heavy metals in the system. And I've talked about that extensively with the hair analysis, because if we find out if there's any heavy metals in the system, like lead, mercury, cadmium, aluminum, with the hair analysis. Now, the blood is going to constantly change. What you drink, you eat, your emotional state. The hair is going to let us know what's going on in 1 to 4 months. And we can see it before it manifests to the physical level. So, for example, this is an example of a young child, I think is 4 years old, and he has aluminum in the system. And that's indication that he can either already has or will be developing ADHD, attention deficit, a number of these things. And if you kick that up to a number of decades to a person in their 50s, 60s, 70s, or older, that's the same relative picture of somebody with a dementia, Alzheimer's, because both of them, aluminum and other toxic heavy metals, are known to cause problems in the system. And then we've got these mineral imbalances. Now, what happens with that is because our diet is, for example, sugar. One candy bar has so much concentrated sugar, and it's going to throw you back 3 months nutritionally. And so the body's going to reach out in the environment to try to correct the imbalances. And besides try to pick up the minerals and the vitamins, it's going to pick up these heavy metals. Those heavy metals will throw these minerals out of balance, and you will be in a state of one of the causes of dis-ease is nutritional deficiency. So we need to balance that off. And so we do hair analysis, and that's one of the specials that I have, which I'll talk in more detail for our fertility family about the hair analysis, so that we can do that. It's non-invasive, and you're just cutting the hair. You're not giving up any blood. You're not doing any invasive procedures, just cutting the hair. Okay. Another simple test is a urine and saliva. Well, the saliva pH. We're using acid pH or alkaline pH. If the pH is below 6 and below, is considered acid pH. 85% of people in this country have an acidic pH. The number one cause of acidic pH, no matter if you're eating a diet right or doing exercise, is number one is stress. Okay, and the normal pH ranges from about 6 to 7, and then 7 and above is alkaline pH. So ideal balance. First, you want to get a balance of 80-20, 80% alkaline, 20% acid, to get them out of that acid pH. And then you want to go into maintenance of a 60-40, 60% alkaline, 40% acid. Now, you don't want the person to be too alkaline because that can cause some problems too. So you want to have them in a balanced pH. So what we use is a pH balancing cocktail. This one thing is really good for that. This pH green zone cocktail, which consists of many green leafy fruits and vegetables that have in a powdered form. And then the lymphatic drainage. We talked about the lymphatics because the lymphatics, if they're congested, you have a catarrhal buildup. So this will help that to drain off. That'll help out with the kidneys drainage. Now the kidneys, anytime there's anything wrong with the sexual organs, male or female, the kidneys and the liver involved. In Chinese medicine, the kidneys they call it the door of life. So if you massage that area, do any tapping on that area, it helps to stimulate the chi from there. Then we have this noni cocktail. People have been drinking noni for a long time. It's very good for balancing off the pH, and it's good for the lymphatic system, the digestive system. Other ones, some people don't like the taste of noni, so we allow them to have the Taigo, which the Taigo drink is a blend of quote unquote medicinal fruits and vegetables and herbs. And I told one person about it, a potential patient about it. And the thing about it, all it has in it is like a fruit flavored drink. She said, well, I've got to ask my medical doctor if it's okay for me to have it. Now, wait a minute. You have to ask the doctor if it's okay to drink a fruit drink, but are you asking the doctor, is it okay for you to drink that pop, that coffee, that alcohol? Most people don't. But they're asking, because I said it had medicinal fruits in it. Now, they told us for many, many years, not many, many years, but for, decades and centuries, an apple a day keep a doctor away. Is an apple a medicine? But, it's one of God's medicines. So, okay, well, I guess it is. And do you have to ask the doctor, is it okay for me to eat an apple? Most doctors will say it's all right. But then we add the colloidal minerals, because minerals are very important. And being that it's colloidal, it's a liquid mineral, and liquids get into the system faster than tablets or capsules will dissolve, 10 times less. If the woman is fatigued, then we would add the mineral Qi tonic. Qi is one of the words in Chinese medicine for energy. So if she's fatigued, this has the colloidal minerals in it, plus 9 Chinese tonic herbs, which helps to balance off the acupuncture meridians. And then we also use coral calcium or liquid calcium. It depends if the person is acid or alkaline. But most of the time we use a coral calcium because the majority of people are acid. Now, one of the things in natural healing, the remedies that we use, naturopathic medicine, is we're using God's medicine. 80% of the planet uses herbs since the beginning of time. It's nothing new. The pharmaceutical industry has been using 25% of the drugs are made from herbs. They will import $8 million worth of herbs to make $3 billion worth of drugs. They've been doing, but what they do is they take the active ingredient, quote unquote, the active ingredient out of the herbs and throw away all of the safety factors. And that's why we have so many side effects with drugs, which we don't have with the herbs. Now, in reference to a natural healing, the herbs you want to use are proper use and proper supervision to get positive results without the side effects. But you want to go to somebody that's knowledgeable, a naturopathic doctor, or somebody like Kania has been trained as the medicinal woman. Well, what's your title? I got messed up on that.
I'm a medicine woman, herbal consultant.
Okay, medicine woman. Okay, the medicine woman. Okay, so the medicine woman, a naturopathic doctor like myself, somebody has had extensive training in it. Because what people will do is they'll go with the self-treatment. There's no known natural fix or cure. They will go to the health food store and say, I've got a fibroid tumor. What do you have for that? And they will give them something for the dis-ease, and not for the person. In natural healing, we don't treat the dis-ease. We treat the whole person, mind, body, spirit, and emotion, because most people do not have one problem. They have two to two. If you treat one of them, for example, if a person has diabetes, they can have peripheral neuropathy, they can have cataracts, they can have heart problems. All of these things can be related to that. Okay. But if you don't treat the whole person, they're not going to get the best results. I had one colonic therapist would say, well, she read a book that the book said, well, you can take these herbs and do these acupuncture points, and the fibroid tumor will be gone in 4 months, which is not true. If the fibroid tumor is the size of a 4-month pregnancy or bigger, it's not going to be gone in a short period of time. If there's multiple fibroid tumors, if they're having other toxic conditions, so it's very important that, this temple, it's just like saying, okay, well, I have a Lexus and I'm going to try to tinker in it on myself. I'm not a Lexus mechanic. I'm going to take it to a Lexus mechanic who knows the car better than I do. So, you know your body because you're with it 24 hours a day, but go to somebody that's knowledgeable in what's going on with your body. So the basis of natural healing, we cleanse and detoxify, we build, we maintain in the ABC plus D approach. Cleansing and detoxification takes 4 to 12 months to get down to the cell level, because disease starts at the cell level and then it builds up from there. You got to get through those layers of toxins to get there. Okay. If a condition's been going on for that period, by the time a woman's had a fibroid tumor, they've had it for a long period of time. Some folks say, well, I can't cleanse for a year's time. How long have you had this condition? It's like people say, well, I can't take this herb for 3 months because I want something for my blood pressure, my diabetes, et cetera, right now. Disease doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't get better overnight. So you got to cleanse, so you can cleanse, and then building takes 1 to 5 years. So you can cleanse and build at the same time. But the most important part of those cleansing, building, and maintenance is maintenance, because maintenance is the rest of your life. If you don't maintain it, you're going to throw yourself back into it. Folks say, well, I'm on this diet, but I'm going to have a day off and I'm going to cheat. And then they say, I backslid. Exactly. You backslid. You went backwards. So you got to go forwards. Or you can do this approach ABC plus D, which is activate, build, cleanse, and a direct approach. But you've got to do something. That's the basic program of natural healing. Doesn't make a difference what the condition is. This is the basic program. And there's no way around cleansing. You got to do it. And there's a basic female health program. And there's a Tao He cleanse, there's a para cleanse with Pawpaw, there's a female comfort, which you've talked about many times, and the Pro GM cream. The Tao He cleanse is a Chinese cleanse program. What it has in there is that I have Chinese herbs. Before, when I first got in practice, before I got involved with Nature Sunshine, is that they didn't have the Chinese herbs. So if the Western herbs didn't do what I wanted them to do, I would go to Chinatown, get the herbs from the Chinese and be right on the money, okay? Because the Chinese have been using their herbs they've got records for 5,000 years using herbs. So I'd be right there. They had the Chinese liver balance, because what I was talking about is that the liver and the kidneys are always involved in problems with male or female glands or organs. It's a general body cleanse. So besides the Chinese liver balance in there, there's one in there that'll help to cleanse the body down to the cell level. That'll loosen up the waste and toxins. There's one that'll help to kick the garbage out the system. There's the psyllium in there, which absorbs the toxin to prevent it from recycling and making you feel bad. There's also herbs in there that will help to balance, take care of the kidney, the liver, uh, the bladder, other things. And there's also one in there, black walnut, which is good for parasites, as part one of a cleansing program. Then we go into the pawpaw, the paracleanse. 85% of the population has some form of parasites, and that's from the microscopic to the 30-foot tapeworm. Now, when I was in chiropractic school, the genetics teacher was telling us about this man that was had a brain tumor. They did the CAT scans, MRIs, and they put him on radiation and chemotherapy. The person died, and they did an autopsy on him and found out that he did not have a brain tumor. What they found out on those films was a casing of a parasite that was in his brain. Okay, so parasites have been related to diseases from up to and including cancer. Then it's very common for women that have been on the pill or other conditions that they would have yeast infections. So we have a yeast and fungal infection because candida is very, very prevalent, and not just in women, but also in men too. We have this pawpaw celery, which has anti-tumor properties. It's very fantastic because pawpaw is a substitute for the uterine artery embolization procedure because it decreases the blood flow to the tumor like that procedure. But the difference between it is that instead of putting artificial pellets in there and blocking that artery, and they're still having pressure from the blood flow, the pawpaw just literally decreases the thickness of the blood vessel, which prevents the blood from coming in. The blood's rerouted to another area of the body, and so you have little or no side effects from the pawpaw, and it's not toxic to the system. Okay, and they harvested here in the United States at a certain time of the year. The best time of the year is in May, and it's a very popular plant in Indiana. They call it the Indiana banana. Really good for that. Fantastic for parasites and abnormal cells. Then we have the female comfort herbal formula. It's got a dong quai and other herbs in there. The dong quai is a really fantastic herb. When I first got into medicine and I was studying the Chinese herbs, I was reading one book called The Barefoot Doctor's Manual. And in their OB-GYN section, the dong quai there's 17 female recipes in their OB-GYN section that has dong quai in it because it helps to balance the female hormones. It corrects the damage and side effects of the birth control pill. And it also provides B12, vitamin E, and other nutrients, which are good because when a woman is going through these fibroid tumor issues, having the increased blood flow with increased clots, she's losing a lot of nutrients. So it provides that B12, vitamin E, and other nutrients in it. And it has the vitamin E in it, which has fertility properties to it. Really, really fantastic to help with that. So this is one of the formulas I have females on before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and even afterwards. And people have asked me, they say, well, isn't dong quai contraindicated during pregnancy? Yes, by itself it is. But when it's combined with other herbs in the proper formula, there's no complications whatsoever. And are natural remedies right for you? Only you can answer that question yourself. You have to go within yourself, pray, meditate, ask God within you, is natural remedies good for you? Would you go the natural route or would you go the allopathic drug route? And it also depends on the size of the fibroid tumor, from the grape size to the watermelon size, the symptoms. Are you having increased blood flow, increased clots, pelvic pain? Another thing that's very, very important is that you have to be disciplined and you have to be patient because natural healing does not start correct the problem overnight. Just like I said, disease doesn't happen overnight, so a cure doesn't happen overnight. I can't say cure because there's no such thing as a cure. Yeah, yes, it is. God cures everybody. Other things that you have to do is diet. You have to change from the average American diet to a plant-based diet, or fruits, vegetables, salad, whole grains, drink more water. You have to have lifestyle changes, exercise, meditate, pray, stress manage it. Must be for life. Because I want you females to cherish your female organ, because it's a site of fertility, not a site of fatality. Okay, I have this picture up here because the mother and father who had this lovely little child, he's now, ooh, how old is he? Well, let me tell you the story. The mother and father, they came to me. They heard about me. They came from LA to Chicago, and I took them through the BTA tests, the hair analysis, found out their results. They mirror imaged each other because they've been together so long that they were both toxic and deficient. I put them on the program, and I told them, okay, do this program for 6 months. If it doesn't work, then you can go back to your fertility clinic, that gets 69% success rate. And they said, oh, no, they don't get 69% success rate. It's 30% success rate. I said, 30% success rate? You can't get out of kindergarten with less than a 70% success rate, But these fertility clinics, at that point in time, and this was some time ago, because this picture was in, I believe, 2004. So this young man is 14. Yeah, he's in his teens, early teens. That they had, at that point in time, had spent $10,000 at a fertility clinic. Now the prices of fertility failure clinics are in the mid-teens, and these people are constantly spending thousands of dollars for a failure. That's like if you spent that money at your mechanic, and he said, well, let's see if I can do this. I only 30% successful in the technique that I do here. So, but bring it back every month. No. So this young man I put this picture up here because his parents are very close to me. That was my sister and brother-in-law, and that's my nephew. So for you women that want to, that possibly had fibroid tumors, and you want to avoid the hysterectomy to be more fertile, remember that your female organs is a site of fertility. This is our fertility family, and not a site of fatality. You don't have to lose it. And here is my fertility family hair analysis special. It's $130 value for $175. The hair analysis itself is $130, and then you get 30 minutes consultation, $45, which is $175. All you have to do is mention that you heard me on the Fertility Family YouTube live video. Call the office at 708-424-0233. That's 708-424-0233. And you can leave a message that you heard that, and you can get this hair analysis from that, and we can help you to be healthy and happy and to have a healthy life. Okay. Let's see.
So Dr. Jenkins, you gave us the business today.
Yeah.
My. So today, I didn't let you know this, but we've been live on my Facebook page. So we've had a wonderful, wonderful viewing audience today. People are giving you all sorts of thumbs ups and hearts because I know so many women in my circle are dealing with fibroid tumors.
Oh.
And because of that, when you told me the topic today, I knew I wanted to make it available. I know some of my close friends who have had the surgery, and I know that recovery is it's oh my God, it takes something, and we're having to take food over, And so I just want people to know that you have options. We do. Dr. Jenkins, again, he's a treasure, beautiful spirit. And so I urge everyone, even if you're not officially in the fertility family, please take advantage of the special. That is certainly our gift to you. Just let them know that you heard them through the Fertility Family Live. My hair analysis is on its way to the clinic, so I'm excited to find out what it's going to say. I've been doing a lot of cleansing work over the past few years, you guys. I know about this work because I live it. You know, my levels of stress
Okay.
that I've been carrying with me for the past 30 plus years. For me, it started when my mom started getting sick, and I was about she was diagnosed with MS when I was about 8 or 9, and things started kind of getting really crazy by the time I turned about 12. So
Okay.
yes, that's 30 years, you know, of carrying that with me and not having the stress management tools that I needed way back then. So my body, because I lived a healthy lifestyle, it really let me get away with a lot for a long time. But things eventually caught up with me. And I know for a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of chronic illnesses, just consider things are catching up with you, but not like you did something wrong. We haven't really been educated on what to do. And that's part of why we have the fertility family. That's why I teach doing things like get stoned. I just told you guys about earlier. That's why I do herbal classes, workshops, why I'm a consultant. The reason is that we have to learn. So I'm a coach. We've got to learn how to do things differently so that we can begin to have different outcomes. The good thing is that we are divinely designed. And that means that if we put the right stuff in and we create the right environment, we can return to optimal health and well-being.
Exactly.
Do the work.
Oh, one thing I'd like
Can
to,
you,
yeah.
but can you cancel your screen sharing so we can
Oh,
see your face?
okay.
Because some people on my Facebook, they don't even know what you look like because they've just seen you. So you guys, this is Dr. Jenkins. Say hi.
Hi. Okay. Oops. Let's see what's going on here.
You're good.
Okay. Well, one thing I wanted to share with you is I forgot to tell you that, I said that that was my nephew, and the parents was my sister and my brother-in-law. My sister at that time was 42 years old. That was her first baby, right? And 2 years later, she had my second nephew. So yes, you can do it. You can do it. Yeah, no
Oh,
problem.
baby, fabulous is on the way. People going. I tell people you just stay looking out. Soon you're gonna see me. Y'all be like, "What?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm doing it."
That's great.
But part of the reason people say you're not pregnant yet, I'm like, you guys, if you understand what Dr. Jenkins is telling us, is that if we haven't known what to do and we've been on that sad American diet, and even if you haven't, because like I wasn't really on the sad American diet, but I was high stress. I've been an entrepreneur since I got out of college. You guys, I graduated college at 21. Entrepreneurship is really stressful, on a survival level. I just tell people, we kill what we eat. So it's like, you got to go out here and make it happen. And so I knew that before I was willing to get pregnant, I wanted to really do the work to put myself in the best position to have a happy, healthy baby. And so that's the work I've been doing. And you do have to be disciplined. And it is hard because you're like, I just want to whatever, but it's worth it. So anything that you want to add in before we complete today, Dr. Jenkins?
Yes, in fact, what I was doing, since you brought up stress, I talked about previous webinars. I talked about 2 of the main causes of disease. There's 8 plus causes of disease, and one of them is stress. So what I will do is I will have one of my webinars specifically on stress and how that can affect you and how we cannot de-stress. Okay. And the reason I was saying not de-stress, because people, when they go, oh, I'm going to the spa, I'm going to de-stress. And then you come back for the spa and say, oh, I de-stress. You don't say that. You come back for the spa and say, oh, I was so relaxed. Well, why don't you go to the spa to relax? They de-stress, the subconscious will put that in there because it's still picking up stress. So I'm going to make a specific webinar on that for your sisters so that they can relax. We'll start out with your relaxation, and then we'll go into it and kick it up a notch. Okay?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful presentation for my people who are on Facebook Live. That's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it and got a lot of value out of it. We're live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. in the Fertility family. And then I do lots of other webinars because everything's not about fertility. So make sure that you guys follow me. My Facebook page is Kania, a Diva Medicine Woman. There's a link to Dr. Jenkins' profile. We're working on his whole Facebook. I'm on my Techno Diva. We're getting all his tech up because while he's a whiz at this work, we got to get his tech tight. But we're working on it. So just stay tuned. If you have any questions, inbox them or inbox me. Either way, I can definitely put you in communication with Dr. Jenkins. All right, folks. Tara, yeah, the recording is here, but also on the Fertility Family page. So you guys can find this on fertilityfam.com. So you can always catch the replays. That'll be the YouTube version of it, not the Facebook Live, because I didn't start off on Facebook Live. So if you want to get it from the beginning, you've got to go to fertilityfam.com, and then you'll see today's broadcast. All right, you guys, be well, stay fabulous. For my folks who are on YouTube, so we're just closing out Facebook Live.
Okay.
Yes, we want to end the live. Okay, there we go. Yeah, for my folks who are on here, who maybe, again, you're watching this on.
Uh-oh. Oh. Okay. You just close it off on YouTube. Okay.
It's hard to believe that we're now in May, and we've been going strong for about 4 months now. I am a holistic wellness practitioner and a future mom to be. And the fertility family got started because I looked up and I was in my mid to late 30s at the time, and I realized that if I was going to do this mama thing, I had to make some moves. And so I began looking at what is it like to say you want to be a mom, but you may not have found that life partner. And we hadn't thought necessarily about what does it look like when you combine marshmallow and pepsin. And what that does, that helps to heal and repair the small intestines. There's licorice root. That's fantastic for the digestive system, but it's also good for the adrenal glands and the respiratory system. The slippery elm. Slippery elm, they used slippery elm back in revolutionary days when people didn't have anything to eat. It's very good for babies that don't thrive. These herbs can be taken as teas, extracts, or in capsules. A slippery elm root made from inner bark is great for digestion. Hello?
Yeah, my computer decided to restart itself.
I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, so so I just think the university got through our presentation. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, it's sitting here now doing these updates. I'm like, I told you I'm going to give you the update later. Not like in a couple hours. I planned to do it overnight, but it's fine. Yeah, that was a great presentation today. Thank you so much. I think we're going to get a lot of traction on that one. While you were chatting, I was going through my timeline on Facebook, and I did a search on people who had mentioned fibroids at any point. You know, I started inviting people because that's a topic a lot of women deal with. So I'm gonna go back in and put the phone number on the post whenever my computer gets back up. So yeah, it's my deepest desire that you'll get some calls and some inquiries because that will save valuable.
And it's interesting that the universe had this going. My daughter, she's 40 years old and she wants to, get pregnant. I think I told you about that, and so she got Dr. Jaleesa's book. She's had it for some months, but she didn't start reading it. And then she went to her OB-GYN, and the OB-GYN said, well, your fibroid tumor got bigger, and if at your age, it'd probably be best for you to have it taken out, because then with your age, it can you could have the possibility of miscarriage and all this scare technique. And I said, okay, let's not do that. Okay, I told her that I was written up in Essence magazine that she didn't know. I told her to go to it, but she couldn't find it in the online because it's been so long ago. It's probably being archived, So, and the thing about it, I started, we're still unpacking here, and I ended up finding a DVD and CDs on fibroid tumors and aborting hysterectomies on a presentation I did at Nature Sunshine in 2004. I said, oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God. So with the slides, all I did was update them, kick it up a notch. I took in the information. I said, okay, I can do this. And it just flowed so well. It just flowed so well. So I said, okay. And then, I added on, because at the end of that, with the CD, at the end of my slide presentation, they had question and answers. So I was able to add some of those questions and answers to my presentation today. And then, I'm glad that you were at the end, because I forgot to say that my sister was 42 years old. Now the women in their 40s can say, oh yeah, I can do